Okay, everybody. It is a Monday. This is Monday Sprint Planning. My name is ER Wolf, and I'm with LFI. And this is the reality. We're kicking off a new week. It's surprising to me. This is like the 14th or 15th of March, and we are halfway through the last month of the first quarter. Oh my gosh, is the year flying by? And for many of you, if you've joined us at the beginning of the year or late last year, you're putting a plan into place. You're taking action on that plan, and you're making forward progress towards reaching your goals. As we all know, it's about setting those big, hairy, audacious goals for the future, and then really just boiling it down to what are the daily action items we need to be taking every day that will help lead us towards that goal. Last week, we talked about being the change that you want to see. And really, that's what it boils down to. You need to start living the actions and activities of that future self, and inevitably you will work towards that future self. So that's very powerful. Today, I wanted to open this up, and obviously we have some people on the call. If you want to put in a chat comment or a question or anything there, you can. If you want to raise your hand and have something to add to the conversation, please do so. But Guy, you and I have talked a lot about this subject, and I wanted to make it a topic for this week. And really, this is what sprint planning is about, too. It's about making a plan and putting that plan into action. But I want to talk about a topic that we're going to be talking about as a common thread throughout the week, because during this week, when we talk about making a plan, and I'm going to share my screen, because I've shared this before, we do about 4 calls, guys. You know this. Every week. We do a Monday call, that's sprint planning, right? 10 a.m. on Monday. We're looking at 15, 20 minutes. We want to put our plan into writing for the week, get some goals in place, and start chipping away at those goals. That's how it works. It's super, super simple. It does require work, so we always say it's simple, but not easy. Another great call we're going to have will be tomorrow. If you're marking your calendar, that's 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm obviously located just outside of Denver, so it's 1 p.m. for me. Adjust that meeting for your respective time zone. Get it into your calendar. Make it a recurring item. On Wednesday, I block out time just during the day to do Mindset of a Champion. I think they have a live call at 7 p.m. Central Time if you want to join in on that. And there is a Week at a Glance card that has been posted and shared out that you can access that. Guy, if you have a chance, can we throw that Week at a Glance card in the chat? Or if anybody has that for anybody else who doesn't have that, that would be great. That throws us into Thursday. It's a roundtable mastermind discussion. We're going to get together as a community, again, lean in onto this topic, have a great conversation where we all share tips and tricks and everything else. And we'll conclude the week with Friday with the founders. So we encourage you to make that call. That's one of my favorite calls where we can collectively come together as a community and talk about all things LFI. So guys, that's what we're kicking off. Today's theme and topic is time freedom. And Guy, I know this is something that we've talked a lot about. It started back when we were first even starting this stuff. And one of the big questions we're asking each other, and I want to ask you guys out there, and it's just something to think on. What is your time worth? And ask yourself this question. If you're writing down a question for the day, for you to put a little bit of thought behind, what is your time worth? If you're working maybe a traditional job, maybe with an hourly wage, maybe you've identified what you're exchanging your money for time for, and write down that rate. Maybe it's $15 an hour, maybe it's $30 an hour, maybe it's $120 an hour. Write down what you think that time is worth. Additionally, a good way to do this, we're in the middle of tax time here in the States. If you received a W-2 lately, that gave you a cumulative total of what you earned during the year if you're working your regular job. Go on ahead and take that amount and distribute it by the total amount of time you worked. If it's 40 hours a week, multiply that by 52 weeks. That's going to give you a roundabout idea. Again, we're just looking at a high level thing. We don't need to get super granular with the numbers, but we want to be thinking about what our time is worth. Because a lot of people who are watching this, you are exchanging money for time, or time for money, right? We hear this all the time. Time is money. We have to be focused on that. And really, I think that's true if you're exchanging your time for money. But I ask you, what is your time worth? Because Guy, I know we've had that conversation a lot. And what we realize is I would make the argument that your time is invaluable. It is worth so much more than you are trading it for. And I want you to sit on that and think on that. Just like we talked a little bit back about what would you rather have when we talked compounding, $1 million today or a penny doubled every day for 30 days. And you realize the penny doubled every day for 30 days is $5 million, 500% more in a month than what you had at the very beginning, even though that large million seems so much more than that penny. The argument for this week is your time is so invaluable that it makes absolute sense that you be very focused and very direct on how you're spending and using your time. And Guy, we've talked about this finite thing. We mentioned it on Friday, and then I'm going to throw this over to you to add some thoughts as always. But here's the reality. We all have the same amount of time every day to use, right? That's that whole 86,400 seconds, as Michael Ray likes to say, 24 hours in the day. I have the same 24 hours. You have the same 24 hours. But here's the reality. Some people make more in one day than others, right? It's not an even playing field. We can look around. How are they using their time and what are they doing in order to generate that? There are people out there generating $1,000 a day. Maybe they're not even exchanging their time for money. It's just coming in on a daily basis. Again, what is your time worth and how are you using or spending that time? And this is something a long time ago, Guy, I realized where you're sitting there and you're going, wow, why am I wasting time doing this action or doing this activity when if I just applied that same block of time towards something useful, it could change everything in the direction of my future. And I think that's part of this time freedom thing. I really want to start by talking about the value of time, and then we can talk about what time freedom means. So Guy, I'll throw it over to you. And then anybody who has questions, raise a hand or put in a comment. Looking forward to it.
Right. We have probably had the conversation of time almost every week since ER and I have become business partners and very close friends, and understanding that time is something that that we deem probably the most important thing. Having that time freedom, but being able to have systems set up to be able to make it so we have that time freedom.
Yes.
For example, my time today is very finite because I've got to get packed. I'm flying out tomorrow. I'll be gone through Sunday. I'll be working remotely. It's time freedom, location freedom. Yep. And being able to do that with friends and family for 5-6 days is something that we get the ability to do because we've got systems in place. And that might be something that goes along with time. It is, in order to have that time, what do you have in place to give you that time? Looking at what LFI can provide for you, or even your 9 to 5, what is it allowing you to do to set up some time freedom? You mentioned some people make more in a day than others. Some people make more than in a day than others make in a year, yep. which is crazy. But a lot of those have systems put in place that people understand who they are, what they do, how to go about. They may be an executive at some type of company, yep. but they've got the ability to do those types of things. And we want to make sure that everyone has those abilities. Was on multiple conversations over the weekend with leaders in multiple businesses and understanding this element, and that they're trying to get into their networks and their community and saying, work, it takes work, right? Yep. But when you work early in something and you put all your effort in it, it's going to allow you to have that time freedom. If I'm just going to think of just a simple element within Shuffle, right? A lot of people wear a digital business card, wear digital landing pages, whatever. To utilize them and to make them work for you, you should put work in on what you're sharing. You should put work in on what your audience is going to be in those messages. There's people all the time will send me their card, and think about the paper business card. When the paper business card dominated, and it's still a dominant marketing tool, 27 million are printed a day, which is crazy, that when you hand your card to someone and they hand theirs back to you in the card, in the physical card aspect, and it looks nicer and it's cleaner, it makes you sort of be like, whoa, I need to maybe work on my card. Same thing happens within Shuffle. When you hand someone your digital card and they hand theirs back, there's times theirs may look more appealing to you. The beautiful thing about it is you can clone theirs and you can make their card your card and adjust the elements to be yours. So that's going to make sure that when I'm in the first initial element of building relationships in business, the number one, and do your Google search, do any type of search. What is the number one utilized marketing material? Business cards. Business cards are the number one utilized marketing material. And it's crazy to think these have been around for thousands of years. And that we talk disruption as well. LFI and Shuffle are here to disrupt the status quo on, cutting down trees. We are an energy efficient technology company to allow you to be the initial point of introduction of yourself, your business, your marketing, your collateral, your opportunities to anyone and everyone, but making sure that if it works for me, I've got to put some work in to make sure that it is appealing to the recipients.
Yeah.
So that might spin off a little bit of time, but from the standpoint of put time in early on, put time in understanding how to build, put time in understanding how to share. We've got a ton of videos, as I know Anna says, we're still working to get those put into folders or their own little channels within LFI, but you've got the resources available to you. You've got Tuesday trainings with Kathy. You've got the conversation, which even after this live, we potentially could turn it off and just chat a little bit with each and every one of you that joined us live on Zoom to see what can we help you support. How can we help you support your business through this week to reach your goals for this week? I did it last week with a guy. In 24 hours, his network went from 1 to 60 in 24 hours because he worked on his card. He worked on his message. He shared it. They got the idea. We kept jumping on meetings, Zooms. ER calls me Saturday about one thing. I'm jumping on another thing. And it's just what we love to do. We have the time freedom to do that with each and every one of you for the time being. But that's where we want to be here. And we want to make sure that when you set your week up, if there's something within LFI that can help you propel your business forward from a training, from 4 hours of trainings, I would make sure that I would pin those in. I know, Shelly, use your pen, don't use your pencil, pin those in, put them on your digital calendar, make sure that you're getting those notifications so you can take action when action is delivered to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that guy. I really like what you say about time freedom is really about having a system, and system is so key. We've been talking about that ad nauseum for a long time as well. And we just reiterate it because it is key. And we want you guys to understand some of these big elements that contribute to that, because maybe you're on this call and you don't have time freedom yet. Maybe you're still doing a traditional 9 to 5. Maybe you're trading dollars for hours and you feel like you're stuck in that trap. And here's how you get out of it. You have to start inching away in a direction that's going to start freeing up time. Now, I think ultimately, right, Guy and I always say ultimately, the long-term goal, when I step back, and I thought about this back, Guy, this may have been 20 years ago. And I said, what's the end goal for a lot of us? And I think it's time freedom, right? We all imagine a day sometime in the distant future, hopefully the near future, where we have 100% control of all of our time, right? Want to sleep in, you sleep in. Want to go hang out with the kids, you go hang out with the kids. Want to grab lunch with friends, you go grab lunch with friends. You have 100% control of your time. A lot of people point to that and they call it retirement, right? Oh, it's when I can hang up my hat and I don't have anything else to do. I'm in 100% control of our time. And Guy, I remember when I was in graduate school, I ended up getting multiple master's degrees for those of you who haven't heard my full story on stuff yet. And one of those master's degrees is a master's in finance with a focus on investment management. And, I had a passion about investment and maybe even helping people realize financial freedom, right? Because Guy, you and I talk about these three pillars. We talk about time freedom, we talk about location freedom, and we talk about financial freedom. And those are sort of the trifecta, or the three legs of a stool. And I know this week we're going to focus on time freedom. But one of the things that was leading to ultimate time freedom is an aspect of financial freedom. And for all of us, that's different, right? Imagine this: if you wrote down what you spend in a month, okay? And this is like what we think about when we think about a profitable business. Guys, the equation for a profitable business, and I think everybody should be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're leaning into a venture right now. Maybe you have a primary venture and a side hustle. Maybe you're doing multiple things. But if you're entrepreneurial, the secret to a successful business is one equation. It's very simple. You have to have more money coming in than you have going out. It literally boils down to that. You call it profit and loss, right? If I have $100 coming in and $50 going out, I'm making $50 profit every month. Add a few extra zeros onto that, and it's the same independent of the size of the business. And when I think about time freedom and you're linking it to financial freedom, or you're linking it to location freedom, you're really looking at that equation from a different perspective. Okay, you're sitting there and you're going, hey, if I'm spending, because this is the cool part, we all can estimate our expenses to a T. If you go back and look at your bills this month, if you go back and look at your statements this month, and I'm not going to try and get on here and do a course on finances or anything like that. I'd point you guys over. Dave Ramsey's got some great stuff, FPU. There's so much information out there for people. If you haven't gone in and looked at those baby steps or whatnot, it's a great place to get started if you need to go off on a financial education journey. But the simple form, right? If I say, look, I'm spending $5,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $10,000 a month. It doesn't matter what your number is. It's your number. You know what I mean? You have two factors. You can either control that expense, make it go up, or make it go down, and you can control the income. And the reality is, when you have an equal amount of income coming in or more, a surplus to what you have going out, you have more freedom depending on how that income is generated. And that's the key. How is that income generated? And if you're looking at, write down a list of all the ways you earn income, and you can say which of these paths is related to my time being exchanged for that income versus to what Guy's point is, some type of system that I'm plugging into to create income. And we talked about entrepreneurship last week, and we talked about passive income or passive residual income, which is owning or running a system, right? That's what business ownership is, that generates an income stream that may not necessarily be a direct result of my ongoing time. And I shared a story. It's a parable of the guy who, these two men who live in a village, and one of them is walking a mile out to the river to get a bucket of water, walking a mile back to the village and selling that bucket of water, right? And he's taking his time and he's investing it and going out to the river, scooping up the water, coming back to the village and selling the water. And then there's another individual, a man in the village, and he says, you know what? I'm going to create a business. I'm going to start digging a trench. And he starts digging a trench. And he starts digging it from the village all the way out to the river, right? It's a lot of time investment up front. He wasn't even earning or selling water. He was just digging up front. It's front end loaded, guys. But he got all the way out to the river with his trench. And as soon as he broke free, a portion of the river's water was diverted. And it came down that channel directly to the village. And he sold to people. They could fill up their buckets directly at his access point. He did all the work once. And now he could sit back and he had time freedom. Why? Because he created a system or a model that was detached from his time. And I think this is something we all really want to muse on and think about, because it can be a life-changing or game-changing change in your life if you start thinking about, how can I generate residual income streams, whether it's one that you scale up or whether it's multiple And again, you can look this up online. We can go and pull up articles, but the average wealthy individual, guys, this is the truth out there, has multiple streams of income. So that's another key for the week, right? Multiple streams of income. And they're setting them up over time so that eventually they have more coming in than they have going out, and it's directly unrelated to their time. And I think here's why this is so important. You may not be there yet, and that's fine. As long as you're working towards that, it will inevitably come. Because, Guy, I know this is the way I was raised, and I know this is going to be a little bit longer of a sprint planning this week, but I want to share this information because I think it's so game-changing. And I think at some point in our lives, each and everybody's life, and at different stages of life, we all have this sort of realization that time is finite. You know, we all have the 24 hours in a day, but here's the reality. We all have this hourglass sitting on our desk that is our life, and sand is draining out of it. And the reality is none of us know how much sand is in our hourglass. I'm 40 years old, but here's the reality. My glass could have less sand than yours, independent of your age. When you step back, you start to look at that. I don't know. You know, Guy, you talked about driving in this winter weather in Colorado, and you hear about it all the time, an accident or something like that. Again, it's finite. It's something that we don't know, and yet we freely just sit there and trade it as if we have an unlimited amount. When I say the old quote, you know, I have all the time in the first thing we think of world. I've got all the time in the world. We say that all the time, but the reality is we don't have all the time in the world. We don't even know how much time we have. We know we've got 24 hours today, but I couldn't even tell you if I'm going to last through today. I hope I do. I pray I do, right? I got a plan to last to tomorrow and the next day and the next day, but it's not infinite. And I think that's the other understanding we want everybody to have on this week's topic of time freedom. Because once you start to realize that, you start to put a priority on your time. And when we talk about sprint planning, there's an acronym we were using called WIN, right? What is your win list for today? What is important right now? If you take a step back and you think of all the things I have to do, especially the action items that are going to lead me closer towards my goal, what is important right now? WIN. What's important now? It's going to be different for all of us. Write down what is important right now. Guy, I know for us, we've got some outreach meetings, some ongoing dialogue for some big level potential partnerships. That's important right now. It takes priority and precedence over a lot of other stuff. We've got some new development things going out that we have to test. Those have to get done. You know, there are certain things where Guy is going to take a trip. Guess what? It's a top priority for him that they get the bags packed. If the bags don't get packed, they're not going to have a great trip, you know? So you start to prioritize what's important right now. And you do that every day for the week that you're working, right? I don't care if it's Monday through Friday. If it's like Guy and I, we peeled out a little bit of time on Saturday and Sunday. And here's the reality. You are in control of your time. If you've allocated a portion of your time and you've sold it to somebody else, and that's the reality, you've sold your time to somebody else, you may not have control of that block of time. But outside of when you're punching the clock or doing whatever, you've got control of your time and the choices you make with that time. And so now is the time to sit down and focus on how you're going to prioritize it and how you're going to spend it and the impact it's going to have for you. And why is that so important? Again, going back to that ultimate goal. If the ultimate goal is retirement, right? That's how I was brought up. That's how I was taught, right? Go to school, get a good job, work for 40 years, save a little bit of money, and hopefully, if you cross your fingers, you put enough away that you can stop working completely, have 100% time freedom, and live off of what you've put away. If you guys have heard something different than that, let me know in the comments, because that's the path that most of everybody is on. And I say most of everybody because there's a different way. There are lots of different ways. There are lots of different vehicles and different paths, you know? And when you start to realize that, there may be another way. It may not be perfect, but I can almost guarantee you there are other ways that are better. And here's what I mean by that, okay? Going back to my sort of financial management days, Guy, if you come in, here's the rule of the old way. and the traditional way. And I'm not saying it's the wrong way by any means. If you're going down that path, stick with it, but you can augment and supplement it. Here's the traditional way, okay? Start working when you're young, 18, 17, 16, right? Put away 10% of your income or more every single month and invest it. 401k, Roth IRA, whatever your investment accounts are. Get to where you're 65. And guys, at this point, the average person would need to have a few $1,000,000 saved up, because here is the thing that they say, right? You sit down with your financial advisor, guy, what, 5, 4, 5? Yeah. You sit down with your financial advisor and they say, hey, what type of life do you want to lead or live in retirement? Anybody heard that conversation? I remember sitting down with our financial advisor before, Guy. I know you've sat down with yours and, going through and creating that plan and saying, here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to send our kids to college. We'd like to retire. We'd like to have all this time freedom and all of this stuff. And they said, well, paint that picture. What does your life look like in retirement? And they usually say, well, how are you living right now? And what are you going to cut back on? Because it's like in retirement, it's not going to be as good as it is now, which is like, what are you talking about? I think it should be as good, if not better. Come on. Like, what is going on here? Guys, there's a better way. But unless we take a step back and look at what the traditional way is, we can't sort of divert or supplement and augment that, right? There is a better way. So you do that. You're supposed to have this $4 million thing. And then they talk about this thing called the 4% rule. I don't know if any of you have heard that, right? It's like, oh yes, if you take away 4% of what you've put away from your portfolio every year, you can just eat away at the interest and leave the principal alone long enough to last you for the rest of your life. That's the whole saying. And guys, here's the reality, the numbers, the statistics where I like to sit in. The reality is almost 80% of people who've been taught that are not able to achieve it. 80%, guys. So if you're in the 20% who are the lucky few, you've been diligently doing this, like I said, stick with it, keep going. But if you're one of those people who, I missed a month. Oh, I missed a year. I missed a decade of investing and saving for retirement for a million reasons, right? Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe there wasn't a surplus of income. Maybe it was tight that month. Maybe the 2008 came, a million different reasons for that plan to not go as according to plan. What are you going to do in the amount of time you have left? You know what I mean? You could take your current age, subtract it from 65. Are you in the positive or the negative? And how big is that number? Because that's the amount of time you have left to get there, or that's the amount of time you have in surplus. And here's the reality. I don't want to wait till I'm 65, guys. I'm 40. That means 25 more years. Not going to happen, right? I want to be supplementing and augmenting that so that it's tomorrow or as soon as possible. And that's why I want to take absolute focus on this finite resource that we all have at our disposal called time. So I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to stick to that plan. I'm going to augment what time I haven't sold, and I'm going to leverage it to do revenue generating activities. And the reality is, if you look at that 4% rule, maybe it's $5,000 a month, maybe it's $7,000 a month, maybe it's $10,000 a month. Here's my argument. I think you have a better probability and a better chance of creating and running a system or starting a business or being an entrepreneur and generating the same amount of income off of that business venture that would be equal or equivalent to what you'd need in that retirement portfolio to pull at 4%. And the reality is, it doesn't take $5 million being set aside. It takes creating and scaling a business system that does the exact same thing. Think about that for a second. And there is paths that you can reverse engineer that process. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. You know what I mean? And if you're willing to go down that and be diligent about that, you can accomplish it. But here's what we hear, guys, so often. I'm going to throw this back to you because I know you hear this all the time as well, right? I need to get rich quick, right? I want it yesterday. I want to be retired tomorrow. If there was a way to go down that path, don't you think everybody would know about it? But yet that's all we're looking for. And here's the reality. The alternative is 40 years of 40-hour work weeks. Like, this is what everybody is already buying into doing. I'm going to go and work a 9 to 5. In most cases, it's not 40 hours. It's 50 hours. It's 60 hours. It's whatever my company will put on my plate because I got to get the work done type of thing. And then you're going to do it for 40 years. Hopefully you stay with the same employer and they've got some retirement plan. Come on, is that happening anymore? Maybe in my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation, the average person, 5 jobs in the first 5 years. So where are you building that long-term goal, guys? This is why we're seeing the great resignation. This is why we're seeing people put more emphasis on their time freedom and how they're able to juggle it and even balance it. Guy, one of the things you and I love, we've got a system in place. We run the system. It may not be perfect, but it's pretty good. And it allows us, my kids are on spring break. They're just outside the door watching a movie. My parents have come into town to visit. I want to spend some time with them. It might not be all day, every day, because there are other priorities that need to get done. And we're willing to prioritize our time to accomplish that. But Guy, when you say, look, my wife had to step out and I'm on daddy duty and it's 2 PM, like that's a blessing, guys. That's a blessing when you get to do that. Not when, when I grew up, I was a latchkey kid, right? You get home from school, you undo the latch, you go inside, you make yourself a snack, you get your homework done, you do all that other stuff. And maybe if you're lucky, you get to see your mom and dad before bedtime. Like that's not time freedom. And that's what this is all about. That's why Guy and I say there's almost more of an emphasis on time freedom than location freedom and financial freedom. Because here's the reality. Most people, they don't want to make $1 million a day. Like, what would you do with it? You know what I mean? Most people want to get their bills covered, have a surplus, take a trip, pay for the groceries, not stress about some unexpected $500 expense. What does that mean? It doesn't mean $100,000 a month. Does it even mean $50,000 a month? You know what I mean? When we talk about the top 20% of income in America, you're looking at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in a month. It is completely doable if you're watching this to create a business online that you can do from anywhere. We haven't talked location freedom, and we'll talk about that another week, that you can do at any time throughout your schedule, even if it's after hours and you're busy having to work that 9 to 5, that you can implement that will take you in that direction, that will offer you that time freedom. And as you scale it up, or as you do it through multiple streams, you're going to get to the position where all of a sudden you've got some time freedom, like whether you feel like it or not, and then you start prioritizing. I still need to do things. I can't just not do anything, but the choice is going to be yours. So if you haven't figured out what that number is, if you haven't figured out where or what you're working towards, that should be step 1, everybody, on your plan for the week. What am I going to do? And then you can reverse engineer from that. If your number's $5,000 a month, you can look at our affiliate program. You can see that you earn 80 cents to $1 per person in your network per month. You can take that amount you need and divide it by $1, let's say, just as a easy back of the napkin math. $5,000, you need a network of 5,000 people. Now ask yourself, how am I going to get to that network? Are you going to do it direct? Because that is 100% an option. Do you know 5,000 people? Can you get in front of 5,000 people? Can you buy ads to get in front of 5,000 people? Can you push information out to 5,000 people? That's a direct referral. Can you leverage people? Can you build a team? Can you start to help other people see this path and leverage what they're doing to get to 5,000? My argument is that's the easiest way, or the simplest way, maybe not easy, but simple for you to go about that. But it's all going to start with making a plan, right? You need to know where you're going, where the compass is pointing, and what actions you need to take to get there. So make the plan and then diligently work that plan. It all boils down to getting a system in place. We talked about the 4 meetings we had this week. We talk about the other balance items as well. And then just checking those things off. Guy, you and I have allocated a little bit of time to come on today to talk about sprint planning. Hopefully what we've mentioned has motivated you or inspired you to get to work and make a plan. And then we're going to go off and we're going to check through our other priority items and get those things done. And Guy, you and I will diligently do that on a daily basis, connecting every morning, making sure we're on track, making sure we've got our priorities listed, and then come back at the end of the week and see where we measure it. Where did we get? How well did we do? Is there room for improvement? Let's try to have a 1% improvement every day and just look for things that we can improve and do a little bit better on. Like, that's how easy it is, everybody. But Guy, I'm going to throw it back to you. Get off my soapbox as usual.
Okay. All good. No, it's good. I think to dovetail into this is making sure you have your plan to get your time freedom. But when making your plan, make sure I have two lists. I write on one, I don't write on the other. And it's a control list and can't control list. What can I control? What can I do? I can't control people. So they're over on the can't control aspect, but I can control my education, my training, my understanding of personally within LFI, what LFI is and Shuffle is, how to use it, how to build, how to share, how to follow up. I can control my marketing, the building elements. I can control my follow-ups. I see people all the time, and we'll get in Zoom and they'll share their screen and they'll have a follow-up of 150. And it sort of is lost that those 150, we speak to the follow-up metrics and numbers, right? There's a person that's failing to follow up,
yep,
but yet has the potential of working business with 150 different people.
Yeah.
I can control my conversations. I can control helping others see a vision, see an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, you had mentioned 5,000. What if $5,000 is the mark? 5,000 network, community. It's being in control of the message that I'm going to be sending out there. Some simple messages, and just from time to time, I'll go through and do some searches and just do a keyword search. And one would be business cards, right? They represent your company, your brand. Not only does it convey the important personal contact information, such as your name, your title, your email, your website, your address, your phone number, but oftentimes it's the first exposure, right? It's the first exposure of you and someone else. So when I'm thinking of 5,000, is 5,000 daunting to me? Not really, because there's millions of business people that are using business cards. What did I say? 27 million printed a day. That's over 10 billion printed a year.
Yep.
And we know 90% of them end up in the trash in the first week. They're not effective for people there, but yet everyone still wants them and uses them. When I join, a company, for instance, if I were to join a network marketing company, or if I were to join an investment firm, the very first thing that is part of my process in joining it is getting a business card. I remember seeing people, when we would go to opportunity meetings,
mm-hmm,
and the first thing they say is your package, your very first thing to get is your business card, because you have your information and you can get that out to others to expose to them that you can be the resource for them for financial freedom.
mm-hmm.
So Shuffle provides that to you. 5 reasons why people need business cards and they still matter. And these are paper cards, swapping contact information.
Check.
But think about doing it digitally,
Yep.
digitally where they always have it. You never run out of your digital card. They are listed. They are the most effective direct marketing tool. So why not have that type of message when talking to someone that we can help you be more effective in your marketing?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take a little bit of work to make sure that you have it laid out the way you want to, that it looks effective, that it's not the gray background and 4 buttons and a photo of you. Yep. We want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. A business card is the first impression of your brand, right? Your first impression of your brand. I would say it's a first impression of you and then your brand. So you want to make sure you have a great first impression. Creative business cards get reshared, and that's paper cards. Think about the digital card and how simple it is to reshare someone else's card, especially when you have a feature within LFI, within Shuffle, that is your deck, that you can hold other people's cards. we're all about, and this is the servant mentality, helping others. Like, we should probably spend more time setting and training on the deck, because the deck is for each and every one of you to help others, to bring others into the fold and say, hey, I'm not in this for myself. I'm in this with everybody. I'm here to network. I'm here to refer. Next door neighbor's a roofer. Hold his card. We get a hailstorm. I can share his card to all the neighbors. I can share it to everyone in the neighborhood, and it's going to help him drive business. But a cool thing is all those people say, what is that platform? How do I get that? What do I do? And it's all just based on giving the experience and sharing.
Absolutely.
Business cards in face-to-face, in meetings, and why we say put some time in them. They show you're prepared. They show you're prepared when you go into a networking event, a face-to-face, a Zoom, these new QRs, backgrounds that ER and I have. We say, hey, development, spin this up for us. 12 hours later, here they are. How could we potentially provide something like this to the LFI community in the future? That's something we're thinking about. What does that look like? Being in to potentially even change the logo to be your own, but making sure that it's effective for you, because how many people said in Zoom meetings? There's a large portion of people, especially since 2020, and Zoom continues to grow. There's other purveyors in meeting spaces that these can also be taken over into those spaces. WebEx, Zoom spun off of WebEx. WebEx is still a massive platform. If you ever get invited to a WebEx, make sure you have your QR code. Make sure you're taking those things with you. One of the questions, or one of the searches I did was, do I really need a business card? And the first thing that shows up is, the short answer is yes. Everyone needs a business card. So we can go into those in other trainings, those different types of things. Potentially can even get a card spun up for all of you to grab and share those with others on the importance of where this digital platform can help them expand into their businesses. So we talked time. I'll stop my video real fast. So it's crazy how ER and my brain work. Stop it. In 6 months, you will have 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress, and it's your choice. So what can you control to make sure that you're getting progress instead of excuses?
I think that's the most powerful thing, Guy, the quote, and I love your daily quotes that you put out. And when you think about that, everybody, 6 months is going to happen whether we like it or not, right? Tomorrow's going to come, the next day is going to come. As I mentioned earlier, I hope that every one of us is around to see every one of those days, but it's going to happen, right? The world's going to keep on spinning. And 6 months from now, you're going to be asking yourself, did I make progress, or do I just have excuses? Independent of what you're working on, independent of the direction that you're going in, I want all of us, like, it's my hope and my goal for each of us that we look back in 6 months on the progress that we've made, because all the progress is diligent daily effort and identifying what those things are. So really quick, everybody, as we sort of start to wrap this up in the last amount of time that we have for Monday Sprint Planning, what are you going to be doing this week? Do you have a plan? What items are you going to check off on that plan? What do they support? This can be everything that ties to your career and financial. It could be things that tie to your family, your faith, your health, your wellness, your personal stuff. Are you chipping away? And in 6 months from now, is what you're going to do this week and what you're going to repeat going to give you forward progress? That's what it boils down to. If you're a business owner, if you're dealing with getting customers, generating prospects, doing all of that type of stuff, How much prospecting are you going to do this week? Are you going to sit back and just hope that leads jump out of nowhere and say, call me? Or are you going to go out and generate new leads? Because there are a lot of people I see who sit around and wait for those leads to come to them. And then there are a lot of people I see who make forward progress because they're out there prospecting and generating new leads. How are you going to prospect and generate new leads? Maybe you're tapping into some online events that are happening this week. Maybe you're going to a networking event or some offline events this week. How are you going to be introducing yourself and meeting new people to what Guy was talking about? And how are you going to stand out, set yourself apart? And again, bring that person in as a new contact and start working that contact. Okay, that's the first biggest area for I don't care what anybody is working on. If you deal with people in your business, prospecting is one of those first keys. So make sure you're going out there and meeting new people. Okay, second thing, we have said it so many times, Guy, 5 to 12 interactions is typically where a sale or business happens. Ask yourself, are you measuring your interactions? If so, what are your average level of interactions with your prospects, with your customers? Is it less than 5? Is it less than 2? We already know that 50%, we could flip a coin and 50% of people aren't going to interact even a single time with a prospect, even if they know they could do business with that prospect. I don't know what causes that: fear of failure, fear of the no, fear of success. But something is restricting most people from doing that, at least half of the people. 80% not past 2 times. So if you just want to shift over into the 20% of people who are doing the right thing and getting a lot of the results, they're consistently following up. And it's touch points. It's not just always business all of the time. It's, hey, Ruben, how's it going? Just touching base. Hey, Guy, I heard it was your birthday. Just wanted to reach out and say hello. It's just that continual interaction to be top of mind. And obviously talking business along the way as well, because that's what they're going to do business with, the people they know, like, and trust. So here's the other question. Who are you going to follow up with today? Who are you going to follow up with this week? A plan starts with just making a list. Are there 2 people, 3 people, 5 people you're going to follow up with today? If so, write their names down, right? And then you get the pleasure of striking through those names after you followed up with them. Here's some other ground rules. Obviously, take some notes after you follow up with them in your shuffle. Set a reminder after you follow up with them. And if you start following our process and our system correctly, you don't even need to make that list, because you've got a steady stream of follow-ups getting alerted to you within Shuffle, that all you need to do is follow the lead. And when they go off on your phone, do a quick follow-up. But if you're bridging that gap, who are the people you need to follow up with? Write those goals down. Hey, if you have to put them in the chat, right? If you have to put them in the chat to feel like you have some accountability, please put them in the chat. How many of you are going to reach out to at least 2 new people, generate 2 prospects this week, or maybe today? 5 days times 2 people's 10 new prospects. How much progress would you make if you generated 10 new prospects a week? It doesn't take too long to reach out and introduce yourself to 2 new people, or to follow up with 3 new people. Rose Michelle, I see your goal for this week. You know what I mean? Again, improving your promotion card. Guy, you talked about it. You only get 1 chance to make a first impression. If you're going to go out and meet 2 people this week, what are you going to share when you say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I want to connect with you. Here you go. I want to tap some information on your phone. What experience are you going to create with those people so that they see you as somebody they want to know and that they want to talk to, right? So that they see you not as somebody who's trying to sell them something, but they see you as somebody who can help them. Because that's the difference. When you go from selling and marketing to helping others, man, people start telling you, hey, you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to my friend so-and-so, because she helped me or he helped me, and I know they can help you. Here's their information. Now they're referring you business, like I was talking about. So again, I see in here, some of you might be dealing with that acronym FEAR, right? False evidence appearing as real. You always tell me that one. False evidence appearing as real. Guys, you can work through the fear. If you're afraid of getting a no, send out some information first. If you put a shuffle card together and somebody opens it up, guess what? That's a yes. They're leaning forward in the information you shared. That's an opportunity to follow up with them, right? If they don't open it up, okay, follow up with them through a text. Hey, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see this. Wanted to share it again. Again, there are these ways that we can all lean into our business, but we have to be active. And that's the last thing I want to lead everybody with. Okay. The term take massive action. Take massive action. If you do anything with massive action, you're going to get some progress. Trust me. If you do anything with massive action, you're going to get some progress. I don't care what area of the wheel of life you're focused on. If it's your health and you take massive action on your health and you start eating right immediately and being diligent about your diet or your exercise or your physical activity plan, you can't say that you're going to be worse off than when you started if you do that consistently. Same thing with your career and your finances. We talked about ultimate time freedom. That's my hope and my goal for everybody who ever watches this, is that you create time freedom in your life, that you have enough passive residual income coming in that you don't have to worry about trading dollars for hours. Once you achieve that in your life, that's it, guys. Congratulations, right? Then you can scale it up. This is rinse and repeat type of stuff, but it's no harder than that. And nobody should try and make it more complicated than that. In fact, when you look at it, that's, I was telling this on Friday, Guy, you look at the Forbes 500 richest people in the world, and most of them are on there because they started a business. Have you thought about that? They started different businesses, but they started businesses. And here's the reality. They didn't do it exchanging time for money. That's for sure. They leveraged their time. They leveraged a system and they scaled that system. That's all it is. They scaled that system. But the other thing they did is they put in the work. That's that 4-letter word we don't like to hear, right? That's the worst part of it all, guys, is there's no easy button. You just get out there and you put in WORK. And if you really want to double the 4-letter words up, it's hard work and massive action that's going to get you there. If anybody wants a little bit of extra kick in the seat for this week, don't just put in work, put in some hard work this week. Hard, focused work on the actions and activities that are going to take you down your path. Okay. Outside of that, last little housekeeping, tomorrow's call, Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. If you do not know how to use anything within Shuffle or within Tap, we have an entire community session with Master Trainer Kathy Inman at 2 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. I shared out the Week at a Glance card. There's a link to that. It's open to anybody. If you've been telling people, hey, you should get a digital business card, or you need to learn how to use this tool, or you've already bought this and you need to learn how to implement it, invite them to that Tech Tuesday at 2. We're going to start talking about some of the ways we can use our cards. We're going to go through different examples. If you have an example or a way you're using your card and you want to optimize it, make sure you're leaning with the best foot forward. Join us on that Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. It is worth its weight in gold. It's one thing to have a tool. It's another thing to learn how to use that tool and make the work simpler for you. Make it a little bit easy to make that forward progress. On Thursday, we're going to have a mastermind roundtable. Here's the call to action. You guys got a few days until Thursday. We're going to be talking about this same thread, the same topic of time freedom. We might be talking about the 3 pillars: the location freedom, the time freedom, and financial freedom. But the focus this week is on time freedom. And come to Thursday's roundtable with your thoughts, your impressions, your tips, your tricks, your questions. And we're going to delve into that and have a full conversation where we all talk together about those things. Because if you're not there yet, or if that's something that you want to be working towards, we want to help get you on the right track to get there. That's what a community is all about, And then last, we're going to be finishing this up with Friday with the founders. Guy and I will be back on Friday. It's another roundtable where we talk about all things Elify. It's not just about us focused on creating these amazing tech tools that can help all of these people all over the world do amazing things in their business. It's also about opening up opportunity for everyone to participate in a system, to start a business, to create or be an entrepreneur, and really make that forward progress so that they can have time freedom in their lives. So I'm gonna, Guy, throw this over to you to just wrap this up. And I hope to see everybody on tomorrow's call. Thank you, everybody, so much for today's time and for a little bit of your time, guys, because that's really what it is. You guys just gave us an hour of your finite resource. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, we definitely appreciate that. And make sure that you have those pinned in for Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Make sure you're joining those. Tech Tuesday at 2 Central. I put the week in a glance. Kathy put it in a
I have
bit.ly.
a quick question, please.
Yes.
Sorry. So I'm new to your platform, and where can I find out? Because obviously I got the wrong time.
No,
so
you're
where
good.
can I find out how to like participate in the webinars?
If you open up the chat real quick, I'm just pasting in a link to a card. We call it our week at a glance card. Again, for anybody watching this or on this, you can find that in the Zoom chat. We'll also get it posted on the comments in the YouTube. That's going to have the entire schedule on there. And then additionally, I want to call out 2 other resources as well. If you scroll down to the bottom of that week at a glance card, there are all of the social links. So the 2 areas where I want you to think about, in addition to these live events that we do 4 times a week, is there's the Facebook groups. Guys, we want to have a community. If you've got a question and it's not Monday at 10 a.m. or Thursday at 10 a.m. or Tuesday at Tech 2, put it in there so that we can all work together to support each other. So that's another area I would tap into. And there's also a link to the YouTube channel. You can go in there and surf around. There's a lot of videos in there. Some are old, some are new. Parse through some of that type of stuff, sorted by date posted, and you'll see a log of all these past calls as well. And you can dig into some of that. And then lastly, if you need help with anything, reach out to the community. Reach out to the community. We want to help you, and we want to make sure that you're as successful as you want to be with all this, whether it's to use the tech for whatever you're focused on, or whether it's to dive into the affiliate side of it as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Any other last questions there? Otherwise, Guy, I think we can wrap it up.
Yep, we'll wrap it up. Make sure to Tech Tuesday at 2, mastermind training with ER 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So just for that on Thursday. Yep. Friday with the founders. We're looking forward to that one as well on Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. That's on that week at a glance card. The Zoom link will take you directly into it. If you can't make the live, we're always live on YouTube, and that is there for to rewatch. You can share to others. There's always that share button. Make sure you're getting it out to others. But with that, Shelly, you have your hand raised. Would you like to ask a question?
Real quickly, I just want to let you guys know it's sunny and almost it's going to be 70 here today.
Ooh. Enjoy the sunshine.
Coming out.
Great. Well, great to everyone. Have a sunny day. Have a great day. Have a great week. Put some time in. Figure out what your goals are, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great one. Take care.
See you.